Smoking Guns podcast. You're with us. We're there. And now you can see us. Look at that. That's how that all works. Smoking Guns podcast. This is a podcast that deals with professional football in San Antonio. That's all inclusive. It includes the San Antonio Brahmas of the XFL. It includes the San Antonio Gunslingers of the National Arena League, the 3-0. League leading San Antonio Gunslingers of the National Arena League. We cover both. We cover it all. And we're going to be with you for the next couple of hours talking about football. We're going to talk about the XFL Championship is set. Everything's ready. We're going to talk about the NAL. We did not play a game this week. The Gunslingers didn't, but it doesn't matter because we gained a game on everybody that we would be worried about. Jacksonville lost. Albany lost. Albany's got all kinds of stuff going on behind the scenes. If you don't know, if you haven't heard, we will try to make some sort of sense out of Albany, but I don't even know that we're going to be able to. We're going to have a guest come on and help us try to make some sense out of what's going on around Albany right now. If you don't know, wow, it's a big thing. It's a big deal, and it all revolves around one guy named Antonio Brown. That one. That one that you just thought of. AB. In any case, I am Philip Higginbotham. I'm one of the hosts of the show. I'm joined, as always, by my good friends, my brother and sister in podcasting, Leo Yamas.
What's up, Smoking Guns Posse?
And RC Woods.
Hello, beautiful people.
And we're just here to talk football with you. If you are joining us live, jump into the comments section of Facebook or YouTube and shout at us. If you're on Twitter and you want to be able to shout at us, don't do it on Twitter. It won't work. Swing on over to Facebook or to YouTube and yell at us there, or talk to us. You don't always have to yell at us. Some of you love to yell at us, and that's fine. So the Brahmas season is done. We knew that last week. We've shed our tears. Mm-hmm. We've wiped our eyes. We're
still waiting to wake up.
Wake me up. Put our horns away.
It's not over. It's all a dream.
Put it all away. Well, we didn't put it all away because some of you, some of our good friends, including Leo and Dolores, had to grab all of the Brahmas gear and pull it out on Saturday night because they got invited. A group of fans, including Leo and Dolores, got invited to march in the Fiesta Flambeau Parade in downtown San Antonio as part of the San Antonio Brahmas organization. Leo, how was that?
Yeah, what an experience, man. What a great time. I can't wait till next year. Okay, you want me to be honest?
Yeah, be honest.
Okay.
Now we do.
This is a Leo thing. This isn't a Brahmas thing. This isn't a anybody else thing. This is a Leo thing. I don't like parades. I never like parades. I can't stand all the stuff around it. I can't stand the closed streets, the trouble getting in and out, the ridiculously expensive parking, the huge crowds, just all the logistics of it. It's a nightmare unless you like that being around a bunch of people and getting drunk and yelling and screaming and doing all that and that,
which in San Antonio is a big deal.
It is. It
is.
That's not my thing, but it certainly is for a lot of other people, and you know they can have fun doing that, and you have to be willing to go through all the other crap to enjoy that moment, however long that moment may be. It could be a couple hours, it could be several hours, but not my thing. So but I certainly wasn't going to turn down an invitation by the San Antonio Brahmas when I got that invitation.
Right.
I was like, oh crap.
We identify you as one of our some of our favorite fans, and they could have had hundreds of people on the street. They didn't do that. They had to limit the number somewhere. So they certainly didn't call me because they don't want this ugly mug being like, oh, that's a guy that likes the Brahmas. He's one of their favorite fans. They don't want that. So they didn't call me, but they did call you, and they set you and Dolores up. but you had a terrible time, and it was the worst thing ever because parades are awful. Is that what I'm hearing?
No, it was not a terrible time. It was just an extremely long wait. The entire parade was way behind schedule. Not the Brahma's fault.
No.
The estimation was that we were going to be out there and on the streets and waving at people by around 7:45-ish. We were towards the back end of the parade. It was supposed to start at 7. By all indications, I think it started at 7. I don't think there was a delay there. It was just the delay of getting everybody going and getting all the countless floats and groups and bands of people, to out there. We finally ended up getting out there. Guess what time?
I know, so I'm
okay. 9:45-ish, a little after that.
Wow.
A little after that. So it's nearly 10 o'clock when we were expecting to be out there by 7:40-ish. We were told 7:45. And they said it could take about 2.5 hours. So I'm thinking, okay, that's cool. We'll go out. We'll do this. We'll have a good time. We'll yell and scream, wave at all the people. We're not going to eat or drink anything because, bathrooms are limited and we don't want to have to, cross our legs or hop around, during the parade until we can get to some place. So we were starving, but the idea is like, we'll go get some food, get a bite to eat afterwards, enjoy ourselves. But by the time we got out of there, everything was closed. I mean,
no,
we got home a little after 1:30 in the morning. But and unfortunately, as we came through, a lot of the fans, a lot of the fiesta goers, there was still quite a bit there, but the numbers had dissipated by the time we were coming through. So it was a little unfortunate in that sense, but nothing anybody could do about that. I mean, that's just the timing and how huge an event like this is. And you have those kind of setbacks all the time. And it's one of the reasons why I personally, have never been a big parade goer, but it was fun seeing all the fans waving. You see Viva Texas in here. He says here on the Facebook feed, he had to jump into the crowds to get them going again. He was waving his flag. You had Steve-O, with the BWO belt going around, and letting fans and taking pictures with them and letting fans hold it. You had Captain Brahma going out into the stands as well, like literally laying back into some groups of people and taking pictures with them, selfies. And he had a dog licking his face. He comes over and the dog was kissing me. I mean, the fans, they had Vanessa and Brahma Babe and Jay, a lot of people there, Warren. I know I'm going to miss several names, but there was a lot of people that were invited by the team that have played significant roles throughout this first season, and we're there and representing and yelling at the fans and waving flags and horns forward, and it was a good time. And the fans that were the people that were there, the fiesta goers, they seemed to really take to what we were doing and get loud, particularly for Coach Ward. Lots of people. I've never seen on parades, like I said, I don't go to parades a lot, but people were running out to the floats to take selfies with him, to shake his hand, to tell him how much they love him and appreciate him. Some were calling, telling him, next year, Coach. And of course, you have the Steeler Nation people coming out. I love you, Steeler Nation. And Coach was very, very gracious to every last one of them. I don't think you're supposed to be ringing up to floats and doing that kind of thing. But Coach wasn't standoffish. Coach wasn't, hey, back off. Coach would reach down, shake the hand of every single one, pose for selfies. I saw him sign an autograph for a kid who ran up there and handed something to him and then run alongside of the float. Again, all this kind of stuff I don't think is really supposed to happen, but Coach went with it. I mean, he was definitely there to please all of his fans and all of the people of San Antonio.
Mo on Facebook is asking, was he dancing with Mateo? Did she see that right?
He was, yes. Now, Mateo wasn't on the float. That was pre-parade when we were standing out in that parking lot at SAC for several hours. And he was out interacting with lots of people there as well. some big fans of Coach Ward, military guys coming over and just gushing over him. And he was just as cordial and responsive as ever. Coach, I can't say enough, give enough compliments for Coach Ward. What a great guy he is.
For sure. Iris Ferrante checking in on Facebook and says Lolis looked awesome in her parade outfit.
She did.
To
Very
be
adorable.
fair, it's easy
It's
for
Lolis.
Lolis to look good in most outfits. I mean, that's just kind of who she is.
Well, you mentioned earlier they didn't want your ugly mug. That's why you didn't get invited. Well, that certainly wasn't a reason why I was invited either. So they probably just wanted to invite Lolis, but they said, well, if we invite her, we kind of have to invite the other guy.
Have to invite
we gotta have him too. So.
And Leo got VIP seating, we heard. No, we won't.
Yeah, that was all because of Lolis and taking care of me behind my back, I might add, and I was a little embarrassed about it. Where I was not originally intended to ride on the float. But after standing there for that long and, I'm a bigger guy, but on top of that, I do suffer from gout and my joints, especially my ankles and my knees are very bad, but I was going to stick it out anyways. I was going to make that attempt to walk those 3 miles. And I told myself, if I get to a point where I just can't do it anymore, I'm just going to quietly sneak off to the side and find a place and call for a ride or something. I was going to make a go of it as long as I could. Lolis was concerned, she's such a sweet, loving.
That's what they do. She is. That's what the wives do.
Yeah, and she went and talked to the Brahmas representatives that were running the float, unbeknownst to me. And then she says, "Hey, come over here, take a breather. You've been standing up a long time. Just sit here on this float. Sit right here on the float because we're still waiting." So I sat down, and then she says, "Okay, now don't get your butt up again, and you stay on there this entire time." And I'm like, "What are you talking about?" She's like, "You're gonna sit right there." And I'm like, "No, I'm not. I got to get up and walk." She's like, "No, you're not walking. I already talked to. I've got it taken care of. You're not walking. I'm not having you go through that. I know you're not gonna make it. I can make it. No, you're not." Lolis was probably right. I'm glad after going through that. I don't think I would have made it, but she's
glad she took care of you. Actually, when you let us know earlier in the week that you were going to be in the parade, my first thought was that's going to be a lot. Like that's going to be tough because I know you and I know that can be an issue. So I was like, man, he's going to really have to gut that out. And it made sense, like why you don't like parades. Parades are a lot of standing. Parades are a lot of walking. Even if you're not in them, even if you just go to a parade, there's a lot of walking and standing involved in just watching a parade. Speaking of watching a parade, RC, you got VIP seating for the Fiesta Flambeau parade, didn't you?
Yes. So, I'm very good friends with Patricia Jimenez, and she was able to get my Shamrock
name dropper
class of 87, right? Some VIP tickets. And so that included 2 tacos, drinks, and it said personalized restrooms, which really means porta potties that are just for like the couple hundred people that were there. So I guess that's private in a way.
Yeah, private, not personalized.
Yeah, not
RC over the door.
No, it didn't have no RC, no. And so I was pleasantly surprised to see some Brahma fans. So the first person I saw was Monica Graham, and she had a custom-made Brahma dress. I don't know if y'all saw that on Facebook.
I didn't go check out Monica's.
I did. It looked great. Yes.
Gorgeous. It was yellow and it had some black lace, and on the corner it had the Brahma logo. So we took a couple of pictures there, and then I saw 2 fans that had Steelers shirts on. So of course I went up to them and they're like, "Yeah, we're so excited." They were super excited about seeing the float. So I know there was definitely a Brahma presence there. And so after we socialized, and then some other friends of mine from the Shamrocks, I don't know if y'all saw us on KSAT Live. I was on TV.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
I was the one throwing the confetti. And so my friend Anna Laura was saying, "Hi, we're the class."
Yeah, there was nobody else at the whole parade doing that. You were the one doing that. Nobody else at the whole parade did that.
Of course, they also showed the ladies with the big hats, with their necks probably sore today. But so we were super excited. The bleachers were comfortable. until the UT Longhorns came by. That bleacher was rocking so bad, I thought it was going to collapse. I mean, I was literally bouncing up and down. That's how much they were cheering. And I think that's what really caused the delay, because we're right, KSAT 12 VIP. So the bands, the cheerleaders, whoever was, would stop, get prepared, and then they would perform in front of us. So
Sure.
that was the UT band. That was a lot of the cheerleaders, a lot of the floats, and I saw Santa. Did y'all see Santa with snow?
No.
Well, he was in the parade. So
Mm-mm.
everybody was like, Santa. I had not expected Santa to appear in the Flambeau parade, but he was. So
I
I
mean,
think that's what the delay was, because we'd see them on the corner and they were waiting, because also the commercials. So if there was a commercial, the parade stopped, complete stop. And then once it's airtime, then they would do a signal and then they would start the parade. So I felt bad for a lot of the people, including y'all, because that was a very, very long parade.
Yeah.
it was
Great people involved. Jason and Jorge and Warren, all of our friends. And that is the most
Jackie.
exciting Jackie. That was the
Uh-huh.
most exciting thing about all of this is, look, the season didn't go the way we wanted to as far as wins and losses. The season didn't go the way we wanted to as far as attendance numbers, although we can look at the schedule and go, look, the XFL really didn't help us out with attendance numbers.
True.
We can talk about all of that, but in the end, we have a community. We have the foundation of a community built around the Brahmas, and we know that season 2 is coming. And
Mm-hmm.
that's the most important thing. We have this foundation.
Mm-hmm.
We have at least 2 podcasts that cover the Brahmas. We have us that
3.
covers the Brahmas and Gunslingers. You have Horns Forward and the Brahma Brahma Bullpen.
Yep.
So
Mm-hmm.
3 different podcasts, all covering and talking about the Brahmas, and that's always good.
Right.
More people talking about the Brahmas. For that matter, more people talking about the Gunslingers, and we'll get to that in the second hour.
Mm-hmm.
That's good things, because pro football in San Antonio is what we love, and we want more
Yes.
people talking about it and dealing with it. So we got that base set
Mhm.
up this year. Did we hit the AAF? 24,000 people in the dome week after week? No, but that didn't last.
Right.
Right.
And this is being built properly.
Season
We've
2.
got a good solid base, a fan base, and we're
Have a
going to
good
build on top of
foundation.
that year after year.
It's funny you say that, because Steven Canto, super fan who was there
Yeah.
for the parade, he asked me that very question while we were sitting there. We had lots of time to talk about a bunch of different things, and he said,
Sure.
so what was your take on this first season compared to the AAF, like compared to the Commanders? What was your take on this Brahmas thing, and how do you feel about it? And I
We
said,
completed the season.
yeah, that's exactly what I said. I was like, well, first of all, we completed a season, and it's great because we even are very, very certain, we've been assured and have no reason to believe that we're not going to get a second season.
Right.
And things, all indications are we're full steam ahead. And so that's great. That's awesome. Now, honestly, I don't think we ever reached that same level, the peak that we reached during the Commanders, to be fair. That level of excitement, the level of fans in the Alamo Dome. I was like, now, yes, that was a little disappointing in one sense, but as you say, we're kind of building this thing. It's understandable. It's going to take some time, especially with some people having, still feeling the sting when they committed to the Commanders.
Right.
And wanting to see, well, let's see how this goes for one season, and then maybe season 2, I'll be willing to fork out my cash and be a little bit more committed. But it's we didn't quite get there, but the people that were there were all out 100%.
Right.
And there's no reason that this thing isn't gonna just snowball and grow for season 2. And we're gonna have a season 2 first and
Right.
foremost. So it's awesome.
I mean, they're already selling season tickets. The championship is coming up in 2 weeks here in San Antonio. Lots of good things. And look, I enjoyed the Commanders. I certainly liked having a winning team, Who doesn't? There's nobody that's like, man, I'd sure like to miss the playoffs by a
Yeah.
game. Nobody feels that way. But
Like that
in
much.
the end, I would much rather have a league that is built for multiple seasons than a team that's really good for 8 games and then disappears and leaves me heartbroken like the last thing.
Overnight.
So
Yep.
so we don't have that this time. We have something much more sustainable. I'm very happy that we, I'd love to be in the playoffs, and we're going to talk about the playoffs here in a minute. And man, if we were in the playoffs, we might be in the championship because Arlington was able to beat Houston, and if Arlington can do it, geez, we could have done it.
We should have done
So
it. Should have been us, man. Should have been the Brahmas.
yeah, well, and let's talk about so that was the parade. You guys had a great time, even though it was a parade. You enjoyed yourself. You got to spend some time with lots of Brahmas fans, lots of great Brahmas fans, and you got the word out to even more. I guarantee there were people lined up on the side of that parade that go, "What is this? What is this San Antonio Brahmas?" And they whip out their smartphone and they start looking it up and going, "Oh, had no idea that we had an XFL team this year and that it'll be coming back next February." So good things all the way around. So in the XFL, the playoffs, the 2 championship games were this weekend. One went the way I think we all kind of expected. DC beating Seattle. I understand people thought Seattle had the hot hand and Ben DiNucci and all of these things, but really, when you looked at the season as a whole, DC was going to win that game. Like DC was going to be the stronger team. But in Saturday night's game, as you guys were waiting in line in the parade, something really weird happened. Arlington learned how to play football.
Yeah. Perez had a great game.
He did.
All of a sudden, things just seemed to click for them, I guess, because as I understand it, I wasn't watching it. I was standing in a parking lot. But from what I understand, and just following the score as we were all there following the score, following the game on the phones, and it seemed like Arlington kind of had their way from the very beginning.
Yes. Yeah, I watched the first half of the game, and then I switched over to the NAL game to see what was going on there, and ended up chatting with some guys through that whole game. So I kept track of the score, expecting Houston to like come alive, expecting Houston to go, wait, Arlington can't beat us, and to go and turn on the Jets. But man, it's Wade Phillips. Like Wade Phillips does this kind of stuff. I can remember the Dallas Cowboys, my team, going 13-3 with Wade Phillips. It was one of Tony Romo's best years. And we got a first round bye in the playoffs. Everything is coming up Cowboys. And we go into the first game of the playoffs against the New York Giants and just spit the bit and lose. I was physically sick after that game. And this is just something that, I was mad. God, I was mad. 13-3, a whole season. I felt very much like Boston Bruins fans feel right now. Like we were one of the better teams in the league that year. And we went into this playoff game that we should have just easily won against the Giants, a team we had beat, I think, twice already that season. And we just spit the bit and lost. Now, the Giants would go on to win the Super Bowl that year against New England, I believe. But it's Wade Phillips. Like, this is what Wade Phillips does.
It does seem to be a pattern. I had my share of Wade Phillips as a Broncos fan, and it seems like there's a late season collapse on Wade Phillips teams when he's a head coach. Now, as a defensive coordinator, he's strong. Like he's always been a very strong defensive coordinator. But as a head coach, it just seems for some reason there's always that second half or late season collapse. And it happened yet again.
So we've got Arlington and DC coming to the Alamo City.
Mm-hmm.
We They are what it is. What it is. You got to pick one of them. Arlington or DC. Viva Texas is leaving no ambiguity about whether he's going to support Texas
Now let me
or
think.
he's going to support
Who would he choose?
DC. He says booze and constant waves when Arlington's on offense. He is all about taking down Arlington with DC. I can't imagine that DC isn't going to win this game. Like, I just can't.
Yeah.
Right.
So if you're asking me who I'm picking, it's DC. If you're asking me who I'm rooting for, it's still DC. I mean, I had said you got to root for the Southern Division, right? I was assuming Houston was going to win that, and I would have been rooting for Houston, the Roughnecks and Wade Phillips to get that, that monkey off his back. But I don't share the animosity towards the city itself and the Metroplex and the people of it like Viva Texas does. But I share a little animosity towards the Arlington Renegades simply because I have that. It should have been us, man. It should have been the Brahmas there, not the Renegades. If we would have just beaten them at home like we should have, it would have been totally different. There you go. Viva Texas. He's not rooting for DC to win. He's just rooting for Arlington to lose, which means DC will win.
He just wants to make it clear. I'm not rooting for DC to win, just Arlington to lose.
Right.
I hear you. I feel that. If there was some way to get the Brahmas in there. But yeah, it's just I could stomach Houston. I can't stomach Arlington because I feel 100% the Brahmas were and are a better team than the Arlington Renegades. So I can't root for them. Houston, you could make an argument either way. Arlington, there's no way they're better than us.
I stand by this, and unfortunately, I'm going to have to probably eat some crow tomorrow on the X-Fan show because I was very vocal last week that Arlington didn't belong anywhere in the playoffs. Mm-hmm. The way this all should have worked, and I realize it was the rules since the beginning, and it's the way it is, but they got to fix this. The two division winners deserve spots in the playoffs and deserve to host the home games. But the next two slots do not need to go to the second place teams in divisions. They need to be wild card spots that belong to the best records, period. So Arlington shouldn't even have been in there. You have a 7-3 team in St. Louis.
Yep.
That played in a better division than Arlington, and they went 7-3. That did not even get an opportunity to play in the playoffs, while Arlington at 4-6 gets a chance to compete for the championship of your league. That's not right. That doesn't make sense. I don't care how many times Dirty and Arlington and those guys over at the XFL Network go, that's the way it is. That's perfect. It's not perfect. Perfect is the teams that earn their way in, get in. And this wasn't the right system. There's a better way to set up this system.
Now let me ask you. Well, I was just going to say, so out of all the whole season, and see if I'm correct on this, are these the only two teams that did not meet up before this game that's going to happen?
No, they played. They played to overtime.
They've played each other?
Yes.
Okay.
DC and Arlington played to overtime.
Yeah.
They were one of the 3 overtime games this year.
Okay. Well, I'm disappointed. I know a lot of people are disappointed because it doesn't match up. It doesn't balance. How do you get DC that had such a great record and then you have the Renegades? It just doesn't match up. And I know we're not the only ones that are upset.
Cinderella story. It happens in
Sometimes
sports.
that happens.
Yeah.
I'm okay with that side of things. Like, the rules were in place. By the rules, Arlington got in. If they win 2 games in the playoffs, the Southern Division Championship, which they won, and they win the championship, they get to hold up the trophy. That's fair. Like, that's the rules. Mm-hmm. And that's fair. I'm saying next year, as we look at next year, we need to go, man, there should not be a system where a 7-3 team in St. Louis has to sit on the outside looking in while a 4-6 team that won nothing. It's not like they won the division with a 4-6 record. Then you won the division. You get to go in the playoffs. That's how it works.
Yeah.
But this is in essence, a wild card team that was just given to them because they happen to be second in a bad division. And that's not right. That's just not the right way to do it. there's a better way to do it, and I hope they fix it for next year. But I get shouted down every time I go anywhere near the X-Fan show and they start talking about this, because no, it's perfect. It's perfect the way it is. Bull. It's not, because a team that deserved an opportunity didn't get one, and a team that didn't deserve an opportunity
Right.
is now going to play for the championship.
Well, but you can't say they didn't have an opportunity. St. Louis had an
We all had a
opportunity
chance.
to
No, they
beat
had a
Seattle.
chance, sure.
Yeah, but I agree with that thinking of divisions don't matter. Take the top 4 teams with the best records in
That's
a
not what I said.
small league like this, where it's
Right.
only 8 teams. But as you add teams, as you start to expand, then I think divisions are separate, and you take the best representatives from each division. They have a playoff, and then you take the champion from the one division in the other, or one conference in the other, which depending on your situation, and they play each other for the championship. I you see that structure before, and it makes sense, and so I don't necessarily think that it's wrong, but I can understand why another team like because Arlington struggled and was 4-6, or getting in over the Battlehawks. I get that, and in a small league like this with only 8 teams, I could see it. But I'm not gonna question the 2 teams from each division competing for each other against each other for a division championship. I mean, you have to have a division champion, and then they play each other for the league championship.
Yeah.
So I know we've mentioned 8 teams. Do you think, or what do you think the possibility of expansion is going to be? And what cities do you
We're
think
not
it would
talking.
be?
No, I'm not even going to entertain that conversation. We're not.
Not at all?
No, we're not talking about
Okay.
expansion yet. We need 3, at least 3, and I would say more like
Okay.
5. We need at least
Okay.
3 seasons before we start adding anybody into this mix. Or the other thing people talk about all the time is we need to move some of these teams around. Vegas needs to be moved to San Diego. Look, I think Vegas should have been in San Diego. I'm 100% on board with the fact that they never should have put a franchise in Vegas. They should have put one in San Diego. That being said, you got to leave everything where it is for at least 3 years. We need consistency to gather fans. And if you're moving things around and playing some sort of shell game with teams all the time, you're not going to look like a serious league. So what you have now, the 8 teams you have now, should be the 8 teams you have 3 years from now. Same place, same number of teams. You can play with your playoff structure. I think you should. But where teams are and they're not even playing. They didn't even have this season set up the way it should have been set up, because these teams weren't in their home cities. They were in this hub, and then they would fly out to the home cities. That's got to get fixed before you start expanding or moving teams.
It's a process. Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know that necessarily 100% eliminates the possibility of expansion within the first 3 years, but I agree with you that it's not a good idea.
And do you think Vegas will stay in the same field or get a different field by next season?
They're signed. They've signed a contract with they're in there for at least a couple of years. I don't remember it was a 2 or a 3 year agreement, but they're going to be there next season.
Okay.
There has been one thing that's changed on the Vegas landscape, and that is that the Athletics, the Oakland Athletics, are going to move to Vegas. It looks like there may be a possibility of them getting out of the deal they're in Cashman if there is an opportunity wherever Oakland, the Athletics are going to play. But I don't know. You never know. You can't move them out of Vegas, though. You can't go, we're going to move this team after 1 year and put them over in San Diego. The USFL, and I know we don't talk about that much, the USFL has done that. And it may, to me, as a fan, completely divorced from the XFL and the rivalry, which doesn't exist. To me, it looks funky that you had a Tampa Bay Bandits team last year and poof, they're gone. And now you have the Memphis Showboats this year. That leads me as a fan to believe that you're unstable. And as a fan, I want stability. And Mo said it just a second ago: stability, awareness, build a fan base. Yeah,
yes,
that needs to
100.
be what they're after. That needs to be what they're after right there. So we got the championship coming up 2 weeks. I know both of you are planning on being there. I'm
Yes, I
still
already got my
working
tickets.
on how it's going to work. But so we're DC all the way. You guys don't want to hold tight with Texas brothers and with South Division brothers in Arlington and Luis Perez that you've always loved, Leo. And you don't want to hold fast with all of that. You're going to just jettison all of that and go, no, I like DC better. I'm going to be a bandwagoner and jump on the team that's probably going to win. I'm not supporting my friends in the Southern Division and here in Texas and my good friend Luis Perez. You're not doing that.
Why you got to do that
Silent.
to me? Oh, I'm just bitter, okay? I'm bitter because I feel it should have been us and not them. That's the only reason.
You're not
But,
wrong.
you know,
Like, you're not wrong.
if Arlington wins, you know, over DC, it's not like I'm going to be upset about it. And you're right, Luis Perez deserves he deserves something. I think he obviously does. He's been a guy that's been around, you know, these leagues, and you know, he's had his moments, and then he had his not so great moments, and it would be kind of a sweet thing for him to get a championship and be recognized for that, because you know he's had a lot of ups. He's also had a lot of downs, and for a guy to kind of come from where he did and be in the situation that he's in, it's hard not to root for that. I get that. But there's guys on DC that you go back and look at their story. I'm sure there's guys over there, you know, that you want to root for them too. So I we'll just see who wins. I think it's going to be DC because they're the better team, but you never know.
For those of you watching and listening and like, man, just like Leo, man, why you got to do that to me? Now you've given me this doubt in my mind about, am I doing the wrong thing? Not supporting a Texas team, not supporting Luis Perez, not supporting our Southern Division rivals. Let me tell you something. Let me give you an out. If Arlington wins the championship, Bob Stoops wins the championship. And if Bob Stoops, the Oklahoma Sooner, wins the championship, that is bad for Texas. That's just bad for Texas because he's Oklahoma, man. I don't care where he's from. I don't care who he is. That guy's Oklahoma. And so if Arlington wins, then Bob Stoops wins. And if Bob Stoops wins, Oklahoma wins. And none of us want Oklahoma winning anything ever. So there's your out. I've given you your out.
Okay. Well, I will say this. So if there were still some Commander players that are on the Renegades, I think it's Nick Temple, Kenneth Spiro, Devontae Bowsby, and Brian Folkers. So plus we know Luis, right? So I'm gonna go for the Renegades. I said it here. Some people may not like what I say, and this is not the first or last time that people are not going to agree with me. But I'm going to go with my, I guess, my love for the Commanders and all those memories. I'm going for them. I reached out to Brian, and I was like, "Hey, is your family tailgating? Let's see if we can get something together." And I also put a shout out to all those fans in DC that if they needed questions or concerns about tailgating, they can contact me. They can contact the podcast. So I am going to go with the old Commanders.
I feel very much like with Bob Stoops. I feel very much like I felt with Walter White. He can't keep getting away with it. He can't. He can't keep getting away with it.
Breaking Bad here.
A little Breaking Bad reference for you. And Bob Stoops can't keep getting away with it. So I have come around in this moment. I have come around and decided it has to be DC.
First, you try to talk me into it, telling me what a bad Texas fan I am, and in the process, you've talked yourself out of it. Oh,
yeah.
Anybody want to make a bet? Anybody want to make a bet?
No, I'm not making
no. I'm not betting any money on this thing.
It doesn't have to be a money.
Robert Rankin.
Like a shave.
Robert Rankin is my people. What time is it? 7:41, and OU still sucks. I'm not even as big a UT fan as I used to be. I was a T-shirt UT fan for years and years. I'm not that as much anymore. I would like them to be successful. I think college football is better. when UT is better. But man, even if I don't like UT as much as I once did, I will always hate OU. That will always be there. So it is what it is. It's Oklahoma. And when you grow up right across the river from Oklahoma in Dallas, Oklahoma really sucks. You know why Texas doesn't slide off into the Gulf? Because Oklahoma sucks. That's why. Holds us right there. Holds us
Holding
on.
us in there.
So, yeah, Mo Ferrante's got it right here. Go Runners. That's where I'm at now. Like, I love my Road Runners. I am excited about. I'm excited about a pipeline getting built between the Road Runners and the Brahmas. I want to see those players that end up from the Road Runners just not quite making the grade in the NFL draft to wind up with the Brahmas. One of those guys, by the way, I don't know if you caught this. I don't know if you've been paying attention on Twitter. You know the name Zachary Franklin, right, Leo?
Yep.
UTSA receiver.
Mm-hmm.
He is not a UTSA receiver anymore. He is entering the transfer portal. He is going to move on to another. And look, Zachary is an incredible receiver, but he can go somewhere with this final year of his availability, of his eligibility. He can go somewhere and show off what an incredible player he is and jump 2 rounds in the draft. And so I don't blame him.
That's true.
I mean, he can go to OU or to Texas or to, some SEC school and be the guy we all know he is. And he will improve his draft stock considerably. So I don't blame Z for heading off and he's a runner. He's a road runner and always will be. But I understand the decision for him to enter the draft portal. Joe Ochoa says, where's he going? Where to? Don't know yet. But he's entered the portal. So he will not be a road runner next season. We know that much.
Interesting.
And we wish
but you're right.
Tons of love.
But I would love to see some of these guys that play for the Roadrunners in the Alamo Dome play for the Brahmas of the Alamo Dome. Like, I have this dream. I have this thing I'd love to see Sub-Zero Frank Harris. If he makes it in the NFL, I'd love to see that happen. But if he doesn't, I would love to see Frank Harris wind up, playing for the Brahmas. That'd be incredible.
I would love it.
Speaking of Brahmas quarterbacks, all of you people that dogged on number 16, Jack Cohen, for an entire season.
Wait.
Where's him an apology going? Now.
What's this?
Not an apology.
All of you people. You owe him an apology. The very first. I don't know if he's the first one, but I know he's the first one I saw on social media that got an invite to camp with Seattle, Jack Cohen. So for all of us that said, and yes, I was in that, I said he regressed in the middle of the season, and he did. Yeah. It's the facts.
It was a roller coaster ride. Yep.
I don't know how much of that was his fault. The offensive line was terrible.
Yes.
And so, whatever. But they kept going back to Jack Cohen. Our coaching staff did. Seattle has invited him to their rookie mini camp for a reason. People who know football see something in Jack Cohen that they want to keep, that they want a closer look at. And so if you're one of those folks that say he sucks, he's terrible, apparently people that know football do not agree with you. There is something they want a closer look at.
He had one of his, he had a couple of his best games towards the end of the season there, when he had a little bit more time, back there, and he had somewhat of a pocket at times, and other times he didn't, but he was able to, he was taking more risks down the field for sure.
He was, because he had time for that to develop downfield.
Yes. Right. So, there was something there for people to look at, and obviously he got someone's attention. I will say, going over Seattle, they have an offensive line there that he'll get a chance to, and it, I don't know how much time he'll get to spend with the starters to work out with them, but they've got a strong young offensive line there where he can show off his skill set, and maybe make a practice squad. I don't know that he knocks off
Drew Lock.
Drew Lock as the number 2 guy.
Who's
Gino
Drew
is a
Lock?
Pro
Drew Lock's
Bowler.
nobody. Yeah,
I
Gino's
mean,
the guy there right now.
Yeah, you're
Yeah.
not wrong about Drew Lock being, right now as far as NFL terms, he's not very relevant, but he's got talent. So, but good for him. We wish him the best.
wish him
It'll
luck.
get him
Yeah.
looked at, and you never know what could happen. So
That's what all
When
this
the on-
exists for, is to get these guys to look up there.
yep.
That's right. When offense was better, he was better. I'll just say that.
Yeah, when the offensive line was better, man, you ain't kidding. He looked a lot better when he had time.
Mhm.
Surprise.
Yes, he sure did.
Surprise. When you give a quarterback time, they can do their job better. Amazing. So, what else Brahmas wise or XFL wise is out there right now? Championship game coming up. Did you see the trophy today?
I did.
I did. I have a whole thing about the trophy. If probably way too much information, but I have some information. If anyone wants to hear it, I don't know.
Oh, what do you got?
Yeah.
Okay. All right. So the XFL Championship, a trophy featured a football above a gold X that symbolizes the XFL's foundation. It's the interaction of dreams and opportunities. Gold is a traditional signifier of greatness and champions. The panels of the football are left open, representing the aperture of what football and the XFL can make possible for the players, coaches, fans, and cities. The trophy is a masterpiece of stainless steel and aluminum that stands 24 inches tall and weighs 27 pounds. Now, the key thing that I liked about it is the person who designed it is a female. Her name is Stephanie Hoffman, and she's a trailblazing welder, artist, and owner of the nationally renowned Underground Metalworks. So to me, that's a big deal.
And there it is.
There
If
it
you
is.
haven't seen it,
I like the way it looks. I think it's cool.
Okay.
Yeah.
Silent.
I mean, I
Philip's
guess
hard to please.
I guess I'm not.
I
a
mean, when
fan.
I first saw it, I was like, but then when I kind of looked at the meaning behind it, it's a little bit better. Of course, I like it because it's a female welder who designed it. It's not every day that comes across. But if you didn't know all of the things, the symbolism behind it, I would say it's a little plain. That's just me.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean,
I think it's cool. You don't want to go with the typical, cup look that you see in other leagues, and it's something different, but still attractive, and it's representative. So I got no problems with it. I like it.
Yeah. I mean, okay.
Okay.
It's not terrible. It's not like I'm going, it's awful. I can't believe, like, the original XFL trophy was awful. Go back and look at it. The $1 Million Game trophy. It's this big blocky XFL logo for the $1 Million Game back in 2001. Did not like that at all. Did not think it was a good looking trophy. This one is, I mean, it's okay. It's okay.
Yeah.
It could be worse, right?
Well, sure. I mean, anything could be worse.
Yes.
Robert Rankin says, dumb trophy. I didn't want to win it anyway.
Yeah.
and then he puts in there, still bitter at the end. Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's
Exactly.
a stupid trophy. I'm glad we didn't make the playoffs. I don't want that stupid looking ugly trophy.
I wouldn't display that in my house if they gave me a chance. I wouldn't put it anywhere. Do you want to see the one I was talking about? Here's the one I was talking about. The original XFL trophy. You got to admit they did better here, or they did better than this. This is the original XFL trophy. Yikes!
Yeah, that's terrible. That's just gaudy.
No, we did better.
Awful.
We did better.
That looks like a beer sign in a stand in a window. In a window, yeah. That does not look like a championship trophy that you bled and sweat over 10 games for. No. Pass on that one. Hard pass.
Well, thank you, Stephanie Hoffman, for making a better trophy.
Absolutely. Much better. We didn't want to win it anyway. Next year, when they
Yeah.
get the trophy thing figured out, then we want it. We're
Yeah.
gonna let them get all the kinks out, and then we'll win the trophy. This was
Right.
all Heinz Ward meant this from the beginning. We're not going to say goodbye to the Brahmas ever.
No.
Like the Brahmas are something we're going to talk about, but this is really kind of the point. Like here in a couple of weeks, we will talk XFL Championship game, but we have to transition now because Brahma season is over.
Mhm.
Well, hold on.
Hold on.
Real
Wait,
quick.
what?
You asked a question a little while ago, and
Yeah, but
and
I'm
I.
not going to let you answer it.
Oh, okay.
What do you got?
You said, was there anything left to say, or any last impressions before we finalize our session here on the Brahma season? And I will share a little bit of what I got from Coach Ward while
Okay,
we were there at the parade, because like I said, we were with him for several hours. He was very gracious, talked to us, let us know his thoughts, what he's looking forward to, gave us his impressions over the season, apologized again, for how it ended up, promised that he was going to turn around and do things better. He said some things that I won't share, because I don't think he was saying them with the intention of us passing that along.
Mhm.
But he did say some
spill
things
the
that I
tea,
think I
Leo.
can
Spill
share.
the
Yeah.
tea.
Okay, here it comes. He has promised next season he is going to be a lot more involved in certain decisions, particularly um, player selection, the draft. He said that it was a learning process for him. We all know it was his first year as a head coach. And I
Right.
think that we have seen his progression as a coach,
Yeah.
which that's also something that this league
For
is
sure.
about. And we have seen his progression as a coach from the beginning of the season as it's gone along. We've seen him make better decisions at the end, as far as, we talked about it in previous shows, learning when to not throw the flag for, to challenge plays, clock management. He learned a hard lesson that first game about the difference in the rules when we dropped
sure.
that heartbreaker to the Battlehawks. We have seen a progression in Coach Ward throughout all of this. And on top of that, we've seen what a great guy he is and how much
Mhm.
he is invested in San Antonio. Just showing up for this parade, he didn't have to be there, right?
Right.
Him and
Right.
his wife, they didn't have to be on that float. They didn't have to interact with all those people and graciously shake hands and talk to people and share stories and just with the enthusiasm that he had. And like I said, late at night, we're talking into 1 o'clock in the morning, and he's out there, dancing on the float and dancing music and waving at people, shaking hands, taking selfies, signing autographs. He went way, way above and beyond.
Sure.
I could tell you from personal experience, just seeing him and the way he interacts with people and the way he talks about the city of San Antonio and this organization, he is 100% invested in this. He doesn't want to be anywhere else. He did say that, and I will share that. He said, I don't want to be anywhere else but here in the XFL coaching this team for San Antonio. I want to build something special here in this city for the people of San Antonio. And
Yeah.
I
Love
believe
it.
him. I 100% believe that. And he has promised to turn things around next year. He's going to be a lot more involved in decisions that he kind of took a step back from, because he had guys on his staff with maybe a little bit more experience that he had trust in. And he said, he let them make certain decisions and then ran with that. And he said, next year, I want to be front and center and involved in a lot more of this as I learned the process.
Right.
So he has made a promise that things are going to I'm going to get this turned around. I'm going to make this a team that everyone in San Antonio can really be proud of. He said he really appreciated the fans' support and how much we showed up and showed out despite all the setbacks, despite the things he wished the ball could have bounced a little bit different. He mentioned the kick, and he said, I'd throw Romo out there 99 times out of 100. I don't question that decision at all. He goes, but that's how close we were. That's how close we were to making something happen and turning things around. He goes, and we're not done. We're not done yet. It's a work in progress. And he's promised to really approach this, taking what he's learned from season one and making season 2 that much better for the fans, the football fans in the city of San Antonio. And I'm 100% behind him. Shame on those people who are calling for his head and fire Coach Ward in the middle of the season. I'd rather have him than any other guy in San Antonio as the head coach right now.
No, I agree.
100%.
I don't think from the time we started the season, I don't think anybody ever heard me say he needed to be fired. I did at one point question, isn't this what you get when you put brand new coaches who have never had head coaching experience in charge of something this big? They're going to have a learning curve. And so we should have expected some of this, but I never said we needed to fire Hines Ward. I like Hines Ward very much. I like him the best of maybe the best of the coaches that didn't make it, which, by the way, were all the coaches that were brand new in coaching, the first head coaching jobs. So all of that bears out. Elizabeth Clayton asked, when does the draft happen? My guess would be the draft will happen right around the same time that it happened this year, which was, remind me, Leo, isn't it? What did November?
November.
Yeah,
it was November.
Right around November. We do have some preliminary data that tells us that teams will have the option to keep or release players on a player-by-player basis. They do not have any restrictions on how many they have to keep or how many they, you can only keep so many. So they can keep the ones they like. They can put the ones that struggled with them out there to work with another team next year. And then they have to fill those holes. So I would expect it to be around November.
Okay. Good question.
And then RC.
Yes.
Let's talk about your medals, because you were able to, you're making a donation win tomorrow, right?
Tomorrow. Yes. I want to thank everyone who purchased a medal for the Brahma Mamas. We were selling them for $10. And our goal was to raise $500 to donate to the children's shelter. And we did it. And so we're meeting them tomorrow at 10:30 in the morning. We're presenting them with a check for $500. So I'm so excited. So excited. The Brahma Mamas, they've come through. And even for the championship game, I know it's the day before Mother's Day, we will be providing 75 yellow carnations to the moms tailgate.
Sweet.
Very cool.
Very, very cool. Well, there you go. There's our Brahmas and XFL talk. We'll continue to keep on it. We'll continue to update things as they happen in the XFL. We're going to still work on trying to get some guests as far as Brahmas players and maybe some Brahmas front office folks. Jose might end up joining us at some point. Heck, if we can get a hold of Hines Ward, we might try to get him on here near the end of the season.
Let me call him up right now. Hello?
Yeah, just give him a call and see if he's ready. Well, he can't be a guest on this show because we're done with that. And I got another guest lined up already in the chamber, so to speak, as we transition to the NAL and the Gunslingers. Gunslingers didn't play this week. They had a bye week.
Bye week.
Nope.
Which is nice. What's even nicer is all the teams that they need to be cognizant of. I think they gained a game on a lot of teams. They gained a game on Jacksonville. Sorry, Jim. We're about to be Jim on, and I know that's a sore spot. They gained a game on Albany. Fayetteville is right there. We play Fayetteville next week, and Fayetteville is looking very good. But Rakeem Cato is that whole team right now. So, with all that being said, as we transition to NAL talk, there's so much going on around the NAL. Not just on the field, which we want to talk about for a few minutes, but off the field, that I reached out to Jim, who's supposed to be recording his own podcast tonight. And he said, you know what? My own podcast is not as important as the Smoking Guns podcast. So I'm going to come on and join you guys. I'm going to put my podcast and the rebound for Inside the Walls on hold so that I can come talk to you guys, because that's way more important.
I'm sure that's exactly what Jim said, right? Yeah.
Jim Murnay, Inside the Walls podcast. He and Zach Kallman do an incredible job of keeping you up to date on everything going on inside the 50-yard fight. Jim, welcome to the Smoking Guns podcast. This is not the first time you've joined us, right? You've been here before.
Oh, I've been on the chat, but not on the live stream, no.
Oh,
But
well, welcome.
show,
We're
right?
glad you're here.
Yeah. So
You're not wearing your Boston Bruins sweatshirt?
nah, bro, nah. Don't don't want to talk about it. That's it. Don't.
Jim had a rough like 4 hours last night as
Yeah.
his Sharks took on the Predators in a game that, like, how could you lose to the Predators? They did. And then Boston, who has had the most incredible season in the NHL, loses in overtime in Game 7 and goes home in the first round to the Florida Panthers. It's been a rough 24 hours or so for Jim. We're sorry to hear that, buddy. Like, I was actually kind of rooting for Boston because of you and Steve Cantu, one of our fans. I was kind of hoping Boston could pull it out. Sorry about that.
It's the sport. What do you expect? The curse of the President Cup still continues, but yeah,
For sure.
that's 13 years now. I think is in a row. President Cup winner is lost, and not win the cup. But yeah, it's nice to have the label as the greatest chokers in sport. That's going to be nice. I know the New York Yankees have that for baseball, and now the Bruins have that for hockey. So, and I think the Atlanta Falcons have it for football. For the greatest chokers in sports. So it's an interesting, but the good thing is about sports is that no matter how much it breaks your heart, no matter how much you get torn of your favorite team, you'll throw everything away, say you give up, I'm done with the team. Then 24 hours later, you're like, you know what? There's some bright spots.
For sure. Hey, let me put you on pause there for a second. I know we'd said we weren't going to talk any more XFL, but breaking news that will be important to Brahmas fans and is very important to Leo Yamas. He's about to explode in excitement here. Leo, tell them what you just told me on the private chat here.
Officially announced. It was just shared with me and was just became official a few minutes ago. Jacquez Patrick,
friend of the show,
and running back beast for the Brahmas has been invited to the camp of the Denver Broncos.
Woohoo!
Yeah, baby.
Leo's happy because it's the Broncos. That's why.
Don't go there. Don't go there. Don't bust his bubble now, please.
Come on, man. Let me be happy.
Jock, like I went to Florida State University. That's my alma mater. I watched him at Florida State go up and see him play for Tampa Bay last year, I think, or the XFL Tampa Bay from last couple of years ago. And now with the Brahmas, I'm glad for the dude. He deserves a shot to play in the NFL.
Yeah,
for sure.
And we're gonna keep an eye on these guys that are going from the Brahmas into the NFL, no matter where they go. When Parker Romo signs with the Cowboys, we're gonna watch that. Yeah. So, Jim, anything going on in the NAL today?
No. What do you want to talk about?
Well, let's start with the games. So you were at the Jacksonville game, but you have watched all or part of all three games this weekend. What did you, just a general feeling on the week as it stands right now?
As it stands right now, Fayetteville's legit.
Yep.
When Cato is healthy, they're one of the most lethal teams in the league.
That's important.
Their offense scored on every possession last home game, or last game against West Texas. And Jacksonville just had their quarterback go out with a major injury, and now they're looking for a quarterback. Good thing for Jacksonville, they have 2 weeks to prepare for a guy to come in to take over the realm. I don't know who they're going to go after. Bell did step in and did pretty well, being rushed in. But, of course, the extra points came back and bit Jacksonville. And, of course, Joseph Hess for the Orlando Predators played his butt off. And you beat the Jacksonville Sharks, and also the interesting game up in Carolina. Of course, Carolina won that game, but that game has just now been completely put to the side due to all the news and drama that's coming out of Albany. But overall, in the weekend of sport, all three games were pretty good. They're all competitive, besides one of them out in West Texas. But yeah, there's some situations like the questions I get, like my DMs get blown up. So why did Gibson go for 2? I don't know, because the last home game he lost by 1 because he trusted kicker. Now he doesn't put the kicker in and he loses again. So
Right.
it's the best of 2 evils.
Uh,
But overall, it's
it-
pretty good. But for San Antonio, you saying that you gained the game. Technically, you guys didn't, because Fayetteville won, so they basically gained a game on you, or half a game on you. So they're only a game back from you, behind you guys. So
right.
this
But we
weekend's
gained a
game
game
against
on
Fayetteville gonna be
Jacksonville. Gained a game on Jacksonville. Gained a game on Albany. Let's talk for a minute about West Texas. West Texas scores 18 points in 60 minutes of arena football.
Yeah.
Wow.
Wow.
That's what I said.
Is
And
that
that's-
does that tell us more about Fayetteville or more about West Texas?
mixture of both, honestly. Fayetteville, how if you watch that game over again, West Texas could not contain Cato. Cato was doing anything he wanted on that field, especially with guys like Lair Beavers, Trey Long, and Kendrick Ings eating up that secondary the whole entire game. It was West Texas had no chance of slowing down Fayetteville. Fayetteville is just on fire. Now, for West Texas point of view, they have a very inconsistent offense. They'll go 1 or 2 possessions where they look like, oh, okay, they finally figured it out. They're going to move the football down the field and they're going to score points. No, they'll do that for a possession. Then they'll go a quarter and a half to 2 quarters as a no-show. And it doesn't really help when your quarterback is back is always facing the line of scrimmage. That usually doesn't help when your quarterback is facing the wrong way.
Yeah. They turned over the ball 6 times. You're not going to win any football game turning over the ball 6 times.
Yeah.
You're just not going to do it. Let's talk about this Albany and Carolina game, and let's stay on the field for a second. But there is a ton going around Albany today specifically, which is why we originally wanted to have you on, because we want to try to make sense of it. And you're the guy that knows everything about this league, so you're going to answer all of my questions, and we're going to feel good about things after we talk to Jim Bernay.
Fifth? I plead the fifth.
Let's talk about this Albany Carolina game. Just on the field, is Carolina good or not? I can't tell.
That's still a question mark, honestly, for me. Malik Henry's improved from last year. He's not making boneheaded mistakes like he did in last year. There's still quality players on Carolina's team with Adam Smith, with not James Summers, with Lance Evans. They made and Zach Brown, the fullback / linebacker. They made some key plays, but this past game against Albany, the one thing that stood out for me is that TC Stevens is finally hitting deuces again, and Albany came and get the ball to the net. But and of course, you look at the score. Those deuces were the eventual difference of the game.
They were the difference of the game, for sure.
And usually when TC Stevens is hitting the mark in that game, like he is, we've seen him do in multiple games. He's one of the lethal kickers in the league. Overall, it felt like Carolina controlled the momentum of the game. Carolina acted like they wanted to be there, and Malik Henry did not put Carolina behind the 8 ball. Usually, Malik Henry does that, and not this game. Is Carolina good? It's basically saying, honestly, is the AFC South worth a dang in the NFL last year? Someone had to win the division,
right?
Honestly, and I'm a fan of one of those teams. So that's basically when you look at Carolina right now. They're good. They're going to beat the teams that are lower level. Like they shouldn't have blown out West Texas. Struggled a little bit because West Texas actually decided to play a football game. And from what I'm starting to see and what a lot of the motion is from people just on the field perspective, seems like Albany's taking the path downward. We thought they're a top 4 team. Right now, how they're playing the last couple of games, they may not even be a top 4 team. Orlando or Fayetteville may have snuck into that 4 and 3 spot, or 4 spot. It's just a lot of interesting things coming out of Carolina for not just playing wise, but actually the organization itself, they had the biggest attending crowd they've had there in over 4 years. Over 3K were in the building, from what I've heard, which is good.
Mhm.
But overall, they're a scrappy team. And one thing about Carolina, and one thing about Coach Fuller is that you're going to get a scrappy team. They won't be blown out, and they won't blow people out. And just occasional close game wins so far, which
That's
has been
good.
the narrative of Carolina.
Carolina scored one less touchdown than Albany,
Mm-hmm.
but won the game by 7 points because of special teams.
Correct.
Deuces and other sundry points off of special teams made the difference. Extra points made the difference.
Albany won the first championship. They scored. Columbus had more touchdowns than Albany, and Albany won the championship almost in a runaway because of
Predators Sharks in the Shark Tank yesterday. You were there for that game or most of that game. What is it really just as simple as a quarterback getting injured and that kind of made all the difference in the game?
It's a symbolism of it's a rivalry, and you never take rivals for granted.
Sure.
Orlando was snippy. They were feisty. They were getting those little cheap shots we like to call for rival games. They get that extra bump. It's like you guys in Houston and Arlington with the Brahmas. I guarantee there was some little chipperness after each play.
Sure.
You got that. But when Connor Blount went down, the offense completely changed for Jacksonville. But again, Stinson Shoshak had a terrific game. He had over 5 catches, even with Bell as a quarterback. Solomon kind of recovered. And Jacksonville made key stops at the end of the game to get back into the game. So Orlando didn't really close the game out. They basically survived the game because Jacksonville was down by, I think, 16 points at one point and came back to get a 2-point conversion away to win the game. That just tells the grit that Jacksonville has. But you got to tip your hat off to Orlando. They came into a Shark Tank that had 6,486 fans and still silenced the crowd. They kept the Shark Tank out of the game, and that's what you do when you play at Jackson. San Antonio did that a couple of weeks ago. They got that stadium out of the game early. Jacksonville came back, took the lead, and Arvell did this thing again. But Arvell's played in that building, so he knows how to win in that building. So yeah, it's just a interesting game. But for Orlando, I'm proud for Orlando. That's a fan base that needed a win like that. And I hopefully that continues on to a packed crowd down in Orlando in their next home game, because that fan base was desperate for a win. And it's a good fan base down in Orlando. They needed it the most.
Yeah, Brahma Babe.
Go ahead.
Brahma Babe checking in on Facebook and asks, "Is that I'm going to say this right? Duval?
Yes, Duval
sweatshirt Jim has on. Yes, it is. He is in the Jacksonville area, proudly so. What do you got, Leo?
I was gonna ask Jim, because a moment ago when you were talking about possible teams in the rise that could jump into the top 4, I wasn't surprised at all to hear you say Fayetteville, but I was a bit surprised to hear you include Orlando. They seem to have really struggled up to this point. Obviously, getting the win, that was a big win for them this week. But do you think they're kind of turning a corner here, or?
I think because what the team I saw a new quarterback in Joseph Hess understand the offense more. When he was entered in the lineup in Albany, he was shell shocked. He had no idea what was going on. Now he had a week and a half off, got prep, and played the game. I see they have lethal weapons in Orlando. They have Prince Shinola. When Lonnie Outlaw's healthy, he's a weapon. Walls is a weapon. They have a secondary that's pretty underrated with Rob Jones and Josh Jenkins. They have a good squad. And the reason why I say that I feel like they can push for that 4 seed is like they benefit from what San Antonio has, 12 games. They can, win an extra game, and because of their numbers of games they played, their winning percentage could be better than a team that's played 14 games. So that can benefit them. And plus, like San Antonio, Orlando is back heavy on home games. So that will benefit them too. And right now, if you told me who's my top 4 teams in the playoffs, I'll go San Antonio's 1, 2. I'll still say Jacksonville at this point. 3 Fayetteville, and 4 Orlando. Because of what's happening up north, I really can't say that they are a top 4 team up north right now.
Stephen Canto checking in on Facebook says, "What is going on in Albany? Antonio Brown causing drama again?" And that's really ultimately the reason that we invited you on, because in the last 24 hours or so, a lot has happened in Albany since they lost that game in Carolina,
Mm-hmm.
and we just have to figure out some sort of idea of what's going on. And you are a lot more in the know and connected than I am. So quickly, like, what has happened in Albany?
From the people I've talked to and from news sources up in Albany, the stories that I've been hearing, it's basically you can find it on the major websites up north in Albany. There was how can I say this? Players were released. A
12.
coach, 12 players was released, and these are not ordinary players that were released. These are big time players that play in the game, which will find landing spots in the NAL somewhere.
Darius Prince, Sam
Mhm.
Castronova,
Mm-hmm.
Haig.
If you're following
Big
it
guys, big names.
if you're following on social media, you know who all these guys are. What the issue is for me is how quick it happened, and for me trying to like find all the evidence, because I can't go on social media and say, oh, this happened and report it. I got
Right.
get all my connections, and from what I have heard and what I've seen on reports, it happened right after the game this past against Carolina. Um, Players were released. Damian Ware is no longer the coach, and the owner, Antonio Brown, is saying they're going to have tryouts, which I don't know if that's going to happen this week or not. But there's a lot of controversy, and people ask me, it's like, who's the coach of Albany? There's no coach in Albany. Who's the quarterback in Albany? There's no quarterback in Albany. That's why with the fiasco that's been going on, it's so hard to give the people the answers, because I don't know 100% sure what's going on. I just know for certain that the Albany way has been destroyed in 2 months. That organization was built to win a 3-peat or a 4-peat. They had a roster to do that, and within 2 to 3 weeks, they have become an Albany team that's unrecognizable in the National Arena League.
Yeah.
And I have good friends. I have good associates with the Albany Empire. I have connections with Albany, and we're talking on the side and going, they can't believe what's going on. Phil is in our Discord page. He knows some of these guys. The atmosphere in Albany right now is they're shell shocked. They have no idea what's going on. And if football field wise, if whoever's on the schedule for Albany next, I think it's West Texas.
West Texas travels there this Saturday.
This is your chance to get them now. Get them when they're down. And honestly, I had a conversation with a buddy of mine. He said this is a time for other NAL teams to get Albany, get them while it's down, and put them out of their misery. I know that's sad to say that, but that's what they say on football players, like, get them when they're down and then put them out, like, let the game be over, like, let's wind the clock down, take the knee, and get the game over with. I feel bad for the current players on the roster right now.
For sure.
Sure.
There's multiple rumors I'm hearing that's about financial issues. I can't confirm or deny that, so I can't bring that up to you guys.
Right.
It's so hectic that for me, I feel bad for the fans of Albany, the people who are diehards, people I associate with people you associate with, Phil, and also it basically gave me deja vu from last year, what happened in San Antonio. But I'm glad that San Antonio got the John Wayne group, came in and ride the ship. You guys are a complete 180 from last year. You're one of the founding. You're a strong organization, and I'm happy for the fans. For me, I feel bad for the fans who are invested in this league, who are invested in this sport, then get completely jabbed. The Albany Empire are the third iteration of arena football in the city of Albany. They had the Albany Firebirds, the Albany Conquest, and now the Empire. If they fail, arena football will never be back in that city, in my opinion.
But let me ask you just a real practical question, Jim.
Mhm.
If all of this stands the way that it was reported today, if
Correct.
you've let 12 players go and you have no head coach,
Correct.
you can't have a game in 5 days.
How do
You
you
can't play
feel
a
the
football
team?
game in
How do
Yeah.
you
5
come
days.
back from that?
That honestly, for real, this is just real talk. I played football. I guarantee you two may have played. I don't know. If RC played football, hey, congratulations, she did.
No, I did not.
But you played a sport, I guarantee it. And
Yes.
it's it coaching a sport is not like, oh, I can just start on Wednesday and we can play on
Right.
Friday. No,
No.
it's there is no one in this industry, no matter if it's indoor, outdoor, European, Canadian, that can jump in on a Wednesday and get a team ready on Saturday. Now,
No.
can it happen? It could. Will it look good?
No.
No.
There
Not
are
well.
some people out on social media, and social media is what it is. But there are folks out there on social media that are throwing out this conspiracy theory of, oh, Antonio Brown knows exactly what he's doing. He's getting rid of these guys, and he's going to go grab some NFL players, and he's going to field a team out of NFL players. You can't do that in 5 days, people.
Not in
You
5
can't
days.
teach.
So you're telling me, Antonio, you're telling me that we're gonna have Joey Porter come back, Eddie George come back, Michael Vick come back? Like, who?
Yeah.
Even if it's not
Not
names that
happening.
you've heard of, these NFL or XFL or USFL guys that Antonio Brown's going to entice to Albany, even if that happens, you can't put 11 man football guys in the arena and in 5 days
It's a different
understand
game.
the nuance of the game. It is a different game.
Yep. I
We're not
guarantee
hearing
you
you,
that's
Jim.
not happening.
Jim, I think you're muted.
I think
My
Jim
bad.
unplugged
My bad.
himself.
I unplugged myself. No, Leo's right. One of the things about football, it's like we talk with Mason, we've talked to many players on our show. The outdoor game is a different beast. In arena football, it takes 1 second, 2 seconds to make a read. In the outdoor game, it's between 3 to 5 seconds. You'll see a great example. Look at Sam Castronova. 3 years ago with the Carolina Cobras, was not who he is now. Look at Rakeem Cato last year with the Orlando Predators. Almost said the Guardians. My wrong team.
Wrong league.
And honestly, I think the Predators can beat the Guardians with only 8 guys.
Terrell Buckley's going to come after you. He's going to find your address there in Jacksonville. And he's
Probably,
come after
and you know what? Probably he may get a phone call from up north. I don't know if that's the rumor. Tim Tebow will get back.
Yeah.
No, that won't happen. He's a Jacksonville boy, but anyways, like we talked to Mason, we talked to these players, and we talked to Connor Blount. He goes, it took him almost a game and a half before the game clicked. Like,
Right.
oh, I understand this. Quarterbacks are different. You can't just throw a vet from an NFL, Canadian, XFL, USFL, and the NAL and think they're going to get the game within a second. Impossible. Unless his name is Aaron Garcia or Tommy Grady, who you can get off the streets to go out there. But I don't think Aaron Garcia can come back. I think he's like 54 years old. That would be pretty old for a quarterback. But
Tom Brady's still playing at 54
That's
or whatever
true.
he is. So.
Well, he's the GOAT. That's different, though. But no, I think he's enjoying his retirement. If you've seen photos of him lately, he is not in football shape anymore. So that just tells you where Brady is. But the fiasco that is which is very funny. I got a text from a buddy of mine today. He goes, What's a bigger drama story right now in the NAL? Is it Albany's drama story or is it Antonio Brown's drama story? And I'm like, well, that is two different entities. Just one is owning one organization. And I look at perspectives as like, I know that organization of Albany through the thick and thin before the transition to ownership. We've talked to a lot of the players on that team. I can tell you right now that the players on that team are stunned, they're shocked, and they can't believe what's happened, and they're angry, and they are individuals who want to either A, complete their craft. I'm quoting Jeff Levesque, who started his radio show today. Brandon Cisse came back because he said he wanted 5 rings. He has 5 fingers. He has 3 rings. He needs 2 more. Nick Hag is about to start a rebuild for athletes to get better, stronger, and healthier after an injury. He wanted to go for another championship. Castronova came back to win a championship for Albany. And I just find it odd. This is just not as an insider. This is just as a fan. Name me another organization out there, no matter what sport, that has won back-to-back or back-to-back championships and decide to blow it up after the second game. Name me a sport.
That just doesn't happen.
It doesn't.
In no sport.
The closest you can get to that is Jerry Jones firing Jimmy Johnson after 2 back-to-back Super Bowls. But even then, he didn't get rid of players. He just called in Barry Switzer and gave him Jimmy Johnson's team and said, go win a Super Bowl. And, Barry Switzer booted it 1 year and then went and did it the second year. But that's the closest.
As a person who's covered this league from religiously for the last 4 years, I've made some enemies. I've made some friends in this industry. For me, as a person, like you guys do with your show, this is a podcast for the fans, by the fans.
Right.
And that's my mentality. It's like, I do this because there's a lot of people out there who don't know the arena game. And I want to give them the best information about what games or who are the star players in our league, like you guys do with the XFL and what Zach does with USFL, and bring people to the game itself.
Right.
I just don't I've seen this before. When people talk about Albany, I go watch the AFL 1.0. What was their downfall? John Elway, Bon Jovi, Kiss, Motley Crue.
Right.
The list goes on. Big time superstar millionaires who just get these teams and don't run it like a business. They run it like a toy, like it's their little toy. And you can't run sports organizations. I don't care if it's the NFL. I don't care if it's single A hockey. You can't run them like a toy because there are people on these teams that this is their livelihood. Their goal is to get to the 3-letter league. Their goal is to play in the NBA or the NFL or the NHL. They don't want to stay in single A. They don't want to stay in the SPHL. They don't want to stay in the NL. They want to play in the major leagues. And these owners, every single one of them that's had history with the AFL, destroyed the league because of their egos. I've seen it before. And when people go, what's the opinion about Albany? I go, look at AFL 1.0, the later years, and look at all this, and that's what I see. Can it be fixed? Yes. How fast can it be fixed? I don't know. I think you made a comment. I think someone else made a comment on one of the pages. Is this the end of the Albany Empire? No, it's not the end, but it's one hell of a rough patch right now. And the road gets darker the more you look further down it.
So let's talk about that for a second, because you say, no, this isn't the end of the Albany Empire. Mm-hmm. Your first blush right now is to say the Empire will still field teams for this season. They will still be a franchise in the NAL.
Right now, from the people I've talked to, yes.
And the other question, and we even had somebody very early in the show, so he may not be watching anymore, but Joe Ochoa checked in right as we started, and he said, I just hopped on. Is the NAL as a whole in trouble based on what we're hearing out of Albany right now?
No. The reason why I say this is because I know I'm not going to flex. There's an organization in the NAL that founded the NAL. The NAL is run through this city, and this organization is forked over to build many of times in the NAL, and that's the Jacksonville Sharks. As long as the Jacksonville Sharks are associated with the NAL will still be existing.
Okay.
Now, there are things beyond our control that if something happens, even that statement I just made can change.
Sure.
It's to think about it. We've seen it in I don't want to bash the Commanders, by the way, in the AAF. They had a good model. It was successful. And what happened? Look at their history and look what started it all. Big time owner collapsed.
Right.
I don't want to see that. I don't want to see that in the NAL, but in this level of football, we see it for a lot of teams, even in Texas. You had the Almario Vipers, you had the Valor, San Antonio Valor back a couple of years ago. You get the wrong people
That
involved.
never even got off the ground. By the
Nope.
way. We were tracking that. They never played a single game.
Well, you want to know some insights for that? You know the reason why? The NAL owned the rights to the Valor name,
Ah,
so they couldn't get it off the ground.
gotcha.
But that's you have organizations, owners that own these teams to be toy and not as a professional organization. Now their mind may be in the right place, but they're operating it in a way that doesn't suit the way that it should be run in that level. You can't have an NFL mindset and run a lower A or single A or lower level league, because NFL is $1 billion corporation.
Right.
For
Mhm.
sure.
Two
The
different
NAL
leagues.
is not. Just go say that.
So with these guys that got released today, if that all stands, and by the way, it's important that we note that the league has made no statement one way or the other
Not yet.
about any of this. Right now, all of this is pretty confirmed. Like Jim and I have done our homework. This has happened, but we don't know if it sticks. Is that fair to say, Jim?
Yeah, because it's always like the great term of any person that's in sports. It's fluid. The situation's fluid.
Right.
Basically, for me, it's like, okay, there is evidence, but the evidence is not concrete, or the concrete's not dried up yet. Like there's still situations that can, happen to change the outcome. But what we do know is that Damian Ware is gone, and Abby from, I think, the Albany Times Union, I think that's
Yes.
the newspaper, broke that these players are been released, and she is well connected with the Albany organization. I'm well connected with the Albany organization, and I can confirm her reports to it. And what's which is very funny is that I wake up this morning, get my cup of coffee, about to head to work. I look at my phone. I have 27 missed notifications.
Right.
I go, okay, what happened? And I'm looking. I see players texting me. I see former coaches texting me. I see emails from organizations. I'm like, what happened? What's going on? I thought a team folded. Like, holy crap, what's going on? What? And the first instance for me was West Texas. So what's going on? Then I read into it.
Right.
I'm like, it's not West Texas. Okay. Orlando? Not Orlando. I know it's not Jacksonville, because I would have got my phone blown up from that for anyways. And I look up and go, Albany? No way. And I start reading the text messages. I'm like, what the heck is going on up there? And I had to wait a couple hours to the sunrise until, people started waking up. And that's when Abby broke the news on the newspaper up there about Damian Ware, about everything up there.
CBS 6 up there in Albany also doing some good work.
And honestly, as an organization, I do know this personally, the NAL is going to do everything possible to keep Albany going. That's why I'm confident that they will have a game play this weekend. So yeah, it's a fluid situation. A lot of drama that's very, in my opinion, is very nonsense, that shouldn't be out.
Yeah.
Unnecessary. Yeah.
Unnecessary. And it's very fluid again. But as for me, I just feel bad for the fans, honestly.
So let me propose something to you, Jim. If all this sticks and all these players are now looking for a place to play,
Mm-hmm. That's what I was going to ask.
If all these guys are out there, do you see, you know these players and league better than almost anybody, you and Zach do. Do you see a situation where San Antonio would pick up any of these guys? We're a Gunslingers podcast, and I look at the names and the numbers and the money that would be involved in bringing these guys in and go, there's really no work here for San Antonio to do. Like, is Darius Prince better than Kali Rashad? I don't know. They're both game changers, and Kali Rashad is cheaper. and you look across the board, Sam Castronova, Haig, all of these guys that are out there that would hit the market. My first question is there a waiver wire? Do we have to get in a waiver line to pick them up, or how does that work in the NAL?
First come, first serve, basically. In
Okay,
the NAL.
That's what I figured.
Okay.
If you have a phone number of a player and you get to the player first, that's how it is.
Wow, that is
So are there guys on this list that you think San Antonio would benefit?
well,
Because whoever you bring in, you've got to lose somebody. So
Hey,
you bring in Haig, you've got to lose Cody Brooks
or Turner,
Turner.
Let's just say that the benefit San Antonio is that you have a former coach on San Antonio's staff that coached up in Albany, and he has good connections with players.
That's true.
True.
That could sway a player or two to go to San Antonio. Of course, you look around the league. Darius Prince, I don't know this, but knowing Darius Prince, he has good relationships with a lot of players down in Orlando, especially a lot of those receivers down there in DBs. Castronova, he's talented. He will not be a free agent for long. Either it's in the NAL or is it with another league. And of course, Brandon Cisse is a beast down the middle. If you need a big boy in the middle, that's a guy you get. But for me, I'm very confident if the situation in Albany doesn't correct itself and everything, like say in 24 hours, everyone's kumbaya and, the piece has been come back together and they stay. I'm very confident that one of these teams will get a couple. One of these teams will get additions. For me, I would love to see Sam Castronova in Jacksonville.
I'm sure you would. Well, you need a quarterback right now.
Well, I need a quarterback, but
Connor Blunt broke his arm. It is you go ahead and tell it. It's your news, not my news. You're the one that broke it, not me.
Well, he posted on his Instagram, which is obvious. Right. And from way it looked like if it's very similar to the Brock Purdy injury.
Yeah.
Basically, Brock Purdy played the NFC Championship game with a broken arm. Did not know that.
Right.
So I feel bad for San Francisco 49ers fans. Have a quarterback go out there that, had a
I'll never feel bad for San Francisco 49ers fans. But anyway.
Yeah, Cowboy. Anyway. Am I the only NFL team that's happy that I at least won one playoff game this year?
It's all about all of the playoff games. You've got to win them all.
It's a small thing to Jacksonville. So we're just happy we made the playoffs last year. But will I be surprised if someone ends up in San Antonio? No, I don't. Travis Shaw has a reputation in the NAL to get players. I think he can get somebody. Now, Nick Hag probably not, because you guys have Pierre Turner and you have Cody Brooks.
Nick Hag would be great, but I look at it and I go, I don't want to lose Pierre or Cody, so I'll pass. I'd rather have Pierre and Cody than I would Nick Hag. As good as he is, I feel like those two guys are good too, and I don't want to lose either of them. I mean, these are original Gunslingers guys.
Yeah,
so
they're
part of it is just
they're
the heartbeat.
They're from what was the you make fun what's it called, the barn
the barn
the burn
yeah the San Antonio Rose Palace.
How you guys have involved from that just tells you how much respect I have for the San Antonio organization. From that to where you guys are now, it's a complete jump. I'm proud. I'm proud of what you guys have done down there. But I think you'll see somebody if transactions happen. I won't be shocked if someone ends up down at San Antonio because of the connections that San Antonio already has with past Albany's connections with the assistant coach.
All right, so speaking of the Gunslingers, I'm going to put you on the spot a little bit.
All right.
There's been a lot of talk in the social media areas, and we all know how wonderful social media is and how everybody on social media is right all the time.
No, not
really. There's been a lot of talk in the NAL social medias and I even heard this on a couple of the broadcasts of the game this weekend. Yes, San Antonio's 3-0, but they only have a 4-point win differential, in those 3 games. They won 2 games by 1 point and 1 game by 2 points. So it's not really as impressive as you think it is.
As the great owner of the Oakland Raiders once stated,
Just
Great.
win, baby.
just win, baby.
Yeah.
Even if
Do
by
you need to
one.
win?
Yes,
Do you need to win a team by 500 points to win a championship? No, you need to
No.
win by 1.
A win
Right.
is a win.
Jacksonville's
Oh.
2 plays away of being 4-0. Does that mean anything? No, they're 2-2 because they lost 2 games by 1 point. It's funny how you in every sport it's +4. I don't care if you're +4. Look at the hockey last night. +53 goal differential between Boston and Florida. Who won the series?
Right.
Florida. Like it doesn't care. It's like my high school coach said when I was playing football, it's not what you do in a season. It's what you do once you get into the tournament. Like we knew we were going to make the playoffs when he made this speech. That year we did. He kept saying that, and we missed 2 more times, my junior and my senior year. But still, it's not how you get in. It's what you do once you get in. Get the wins now. If it's 1 point, good. It's 2 point, good. It's 30 points. That's nice. That's nice you won by 30. But you rather have a stress-free win than heart-pounding, oh my God, what's going to happen type of win. But overall, yeah. What's he? That hurt for me.
The Boston.
He's a big Boston fan.
Big
Yeah.
Boston Bruins fan. He commiserates with you.
Hello, darkness, my old friend. Yes, that was last night. But for San Antonio's sake, it's like one thing I have respect for is Coach Shaw. We did power rankings earlier for position battles. Me, Mason, and Zach.
We know.
And we did all the point system. Trust me, in mine, I have San Antonio high in a lot of those rankings. And remember, we did this before Nelson. It was Bain as there, and I'm a big fan of Jonathan Bain. He's a cool dude. And I watched this game last week with Iowa. A little shaky, but I don't like that style of game.
He did not play well.
No, he didn't. I don't like that style of game up there in the IFL. Right. But I've there's teams out there that'll claim that they're the best. Oh, we're going to go 15-0, 16-0 in the season. Well, hopefully you do, and you better live up to that and win when you get into the tournament. And those teams that usually can think they can do that are the ones that get knocked out. San Antonio won 3 games. They're 3-0. They're on top of the mountain. What's the benefit of starting 3-0? People have to catch up to you. Means so you can have a bad week here and there, but if you stay consistent, basically I'm going to say this. You guys play 500 ball for the rest of the year, you're in the playoffs. Probably the 1 or 2 seed because you already started 3-0. Now, we saw Carolina do this last year. Carolina started 4-0. They're the highest seed in the league. And what happens, they rested on their morals. The Pat caught up to them, and then they lost the game that mattered the most in the championship game. And because Albany benefited because they played 2 less games to Carolina last year. That's why I say Orlando and San Antonio are going to benefit this year. And San Antonio has a great chance. You guys get in the playoffs, you got a bye week before the postseason. Treat that like the number 1 seed in the NFL. You got that bye week. Get healthy and get everything ready. But the people who are usually the ones that are bickering about the
point differentials,
point wins, that group of people are now bickering about something else. And it's sad to see the reason for that. But a win's a win. But for San Antonio fans, don't look over that team you're playing this weekend. They have a squad that if you don't play your A game, they can run you out the building. They're that good. They're
right where I was going next was this week's game. I know it's your game of the week. It may be the only game in the NAL, depending on how some things break this weekend. So it may be by default your game of the week.
Well, it is our game of the week. We've already made that announcement. Zach sent me a text this is our game of the week, no matter what. Okay. Because it's 2-1 versus 3-0. Cato versus Arvell Nelson. Kendrick Ings versus Kylie Rashad. It's a marquee matchup in arena ball. We're not doing it this is breaking news for you guys. We're not doing a show tonight due to scheduling conflicts. So we decided to do a live show on Wednesday night. We're going to try to get Cato on the show because usually when we do games and weeks, you have the team that hosts have a player come on and join the show. We're gonna break down and talk to him because we had Kendrick Ings on, and he's a cool dude. He wants us to have a live show during one of his practices. That's how he is. He's a great guy. That's one thing I love about this league. Every player we've talked to from every single team come back to us and say, we love what you guys are doing. We want to give you more extra access. Like you guys should be getting extra access too because what you guys do.
We do. The Gunslingers take great care of us.
No, they're great.
Yes,
Yeah.
Great care of us.
And I listened to your guys' show last week with Shaw, and when you had Patrick on, you guys do a good job, and that's one thing I love about what we do. But going back to the game this weekend, I think it's going to be a marquee game. I just look at this. It has to be match possession by possession. San Antonio, the good thing about San Antonio, you guys have a kicker that can actually make extra points.
Yep.
And Fayetteville has a kicker that doesn't miss extra points. So it's going to come down to who can kick deuces. And in the Crown Coliseum in Fayetteville, there's no scoreboards to watch for. So you can kick deuces in that arena. It's going to be a high explosive game. The key players I want San Antonio fans to watch for, Kendrick Ings, Trey Long are two guys that are going to be all over that field, especially Kendrick Ings. One, if you're not watching him, he's in the end zone dancing, just like Kylie Rashad. Of course, you're going to have the quarterback battle too between Cato and Nelson. It's a marquee matchup, and it's a game that for San Antonio fans don't overlook because at the end of the day, you can look at a scoreboard and you go, well, we don't have to worry about being +4 anymore. We're -9 because Fayetteville has a team where they can score points and they can score points in a hurry, and it's because of the rejuvenated career of Rakeem Cato from his Orlando days to now to Fayetteville.
So one, I'll say I'm not too concerned about looking past Fayetteville or you talking earlier about speculation on records or anything. It really seems, and we've mentioned this before on the show, so I know you've heard it, but it really seems like Coach Shaw and all of the Gunslingers have this mentality of one game at a time. They're 1-0 every single week, and they don't care about anything beyond that. So as far as looking past them, I'm confident that that's not going to happen. I do think it's going to be a great matchup. Would you say the defense, this game's going to come down to which defense has a better game?
It comes down to here's what I'm going to say. Whoever makes the first defensive stop wins the game, because that's what type of game this can be. Whoever makes the first defensive stop is going to win the game because they'll get the extra possession. But there are some things that happen, and I kind of bashed Arvell when we had him on the interview off air. I was like, "Hey, bro, it's like you're guaranteed to throw one pick every game." He goes, "Can you stop that?" He goes, "I'll try to, man." Travis like, but the thing is that he threw an interception early in the Albany game that didn't cost you guys anything, and he did throw one. He threw a couple against Jacksonville, but Jacksonville was, we're doing the same thing. It's like, hey, you want an interception? Oh, you gave us one? No, here's one there. It was back and forth between us. This game, for Travis Shaw. The one thing I have massive respect for this man for is that there's a hashtag team line unfinished business. I see all the players hashtagging on all their posts. That could be getting energized by how we present San Antonio this year. But right now, this may take off everyone else in the league. San Antonio is the team to beat in this league, and they have a chance to pull more separation. Because right now there's a lot of turmoil in the league. Teams are trying to find themselves. But right now, if I'm San Antonio, get the wins now. Let people chase you. You'd rather be the person that's being chased than the one that's trying to chase somebody. So yeah. But it's going to be a good game, and I'm actually really looking forward to this game against Fayetteville.
And in a way, I kind of feel like San Antonio is playing with house money with this game because you're 3-0. And if you end up dropping this game, you're 3-1. That's not bad.
Yeah, that's not bad to be 3-1, but you also lose a tiebreaker to Fayetteville, and they'll be the number one team in the NAL.
My only concern are all the away games. But the good thing is that when we come back at the end of the season, they're going to be at home. So it's the give and take.
Yeah.
Like I said about Orlando earlier, you want to feast win half your road games and feast at home. You do that, you're a 10-win team minimum.
And Jim, confirm this for us. I know I'm right when I say this. San Antonio has the most exciting player in the entire NAL with Khalil Rashad, right?
God, why you gotta put me on the spot for? Kyle Rashad is he is a trip. I love it. The guy's game. Found out when we interviewed him last year that he did a lot of martial arts training to keep his balance. Me and him both share the same fandom of football teams in college, so we're both Knowles. Kyle Rashad is one of the most explosive players in this league. There are a couple other guys in this league that can go toe to toe with him. But yes, Kyle Rashad is one of them. But you're not showing any love to Philip Barnett. That boy's been balling all year.
He has.
His
You're
game has
right.
stepped up. Like he mossed Marvin Ross in Jackson. I'm like, that you don't see very often. And but you got to admit, San Antonio squad with Alexander returning from the XFL, he has really solidified that the center position is. I don't think is Angus back yet. Is he going to be back? Because I know he's dealing with an ankle. I think.
Yeah, he was on the injury list last week. I don't know that we've got an update for this coming weekend yet. No.
And one thing I like about San Antonio from this team compared to last team, it took San Antonio about 6 to 7 weeks last year to figure it out.
Yep.
They didn't have to do that this year. They clearly went out on the gate this year and started, in the words of my former head coach, beating butts, but other language, beating butts and taking names later. Like you go kick their butt, then take their name later, go, okay, hi, my name is this. That's one thing I like about San Antonio this year. Their attitude. Cody Brooks was talking about when we had him. Kyle Rashad, Arvell Nelson, we've had on the show. The attitude in San Antonio is complete 180 from last year's team. They're kicking butt and taking names later. They don't care. There's 1-0 mentality. And honestly, if you're a football player and you don't have that 1-0 mentality each and every week, why do you play this game? Because the guy on the other side doesn't care about your feelings. He cares about making a living and making you, be a part of his highlight reel. One thing that I listened to watched one of the practices here in Jacksonville, NFL, not the Sharks. I forgot it was the D-line coach for the Sharks. For the Jaguars. Do you want to be on your highlight film or do you want to be on someone else's highlight film? And he goes, if you're on someone else's highlight film, that means you're not good enough to play here. And I'm like, man, that resonated to me. I'm like, that's a good line. So yes, I think San Antonio is that team now that people are going to have them on their highlight reels,
right?
Not the other way around. San Antonio has that narrative this year.
Jim, tell people where they can find you and Zach and the show. Give them all of the details so that they can find you guys and be a part of what you do with Inside the Walls. And Zach does the USFL show too. So
you can find me and Zach at NWalls Pod, everything social, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram. I think we have a TikTok, but we never use it. You don't want to see a big man like myself dance. It's going to be kind of sad. You also can reach us on email at nwallspod@yahoo.com to get direct to us. And also you can follow me on social at j-904 and at Zach Kyleman. We have shows Tuesdays at 10 a.m., not this week. We're going to do one big live stream Wednesday at 8 o'clock Eastern time. Be our rebound and preview because we'll preview in 2 games and recap in 3 games. Big week, but yes, it's going to be an entertaining week. And one thing about the National Arena League, ladies and gentlemen, is that we're full of drama and excitement, and you don't know what's happening until the next day.
Off the field.
And then when the next day happens, you still don't know what's happening. So it's like, oh, okay. It's like going and watch your favorite TV series multiple times and still have no idea what's going on. That's the league that I love and I'm addicted to because it's a gift that keeps on giving that doesn't never answer the questions I asked 3 days ago. It's like, I need to know this answer. Well, we don't know.
We did.
That's 3 days ago. I'm like, well, just stuff. But yeah, NWalls Pod, Wednesday at 8 o'clock live stream. You're more happy to join. A lot of talk. Hopefully by then we know a lot more information's going on. We're going to try to get video on. Probably Abby from the Albany Times to join us too as well. and a couple other individuals. We're trying to make this an actual entertaining live stream. Talk about everything. It's a chaotic week, but again, it's this week in the NAL the league can't exist without drama, especially the NFL. That league the big league. Name me a week there's no drama in the NFL. That's what makes
Right.
sports so addicting.
Yep.
You gotta have
Sure.
drama. That's why
Right.
TNT needs to sponsor both our leagues. TNT, we know drama.
Right. I am not being hyperbolic when I say there is nobody that is more plugged in that can get you information. Like there are people in the ownership meetings and the executive council at the NAL that know more than Jim does, but they won't tell you anything. Believe me, I know. I've asked. Jim will at least try to get information out to people. If you're looking for information on the NAL, you can't go much further than the Inside the Walls podcast and Jim and Zach. They're the ones that are going to take care of you. Jim, I appreciate you spending some time with us talking about the NAL and making sure we all understand that, yes, it's really weird right now, but it's probably going to settle back down. This is not the end of the league. This is probably not even the end of the empire.
Really? Do I need to throw a flag? Like Jack out of the box? Oh, I can't. Oh, I can say that on this show.
Oh, here we go. Here we
The
go.
Albany people are very upset about this Jack out of the box thing.
Yeah. Well, there has to be a review first.
Right.
Yes.
Yeah.
Which is clearly stated in the rule book that it can be done. But,
Yeah,
It is. His name is Jim Bermane. He's part of the Inside the Walls podcast. Go check them out. Thanks so much for joining us, Jim.
Thank
we
you, Jim.
appreciate you. Well, there it is.
Wow.
We talked about the Brahmas and the XFL Championship. You've heard all of the news that we have on the NAL right from Jim Bermane. Thank you so much, Jim, for coming on and spending some time with us. Really appreciate him. He is a guy that just kind of lives and breathes the NAL. And so when I have a question, he's the one I reach out to and say, hey, what's going on here? And so we've been talking a lot today as this Albany story is broke. Go check them out on Inside the Walls. You can also link up if you're very interested in the National Arena League. There is a Discord channel that they run, and they would love to have any NAL fans be a part of that. Some areas of it are open to all fans. Some of it are kind of locked down for special people. I bet there's even rooms I don't know anything about on the Discord. But you can be a part of that and keep up with all the news. You're not going to see a lot of this stuff, on your news, in your newspaper or on your Facebook feed. You'll see it on your Twitter if you follow the right people. But Discord is a great way for you to keep track of the NAL. Go check that out. Inside the Walls podcast runs that, and you can find directions to get there to that Discord channel. What else do we have to cover, guys?
Not much. I can't wait for that game, Fayetteville, San Antonio. It's going to be
big game.
It's going to be an exciting game. So be sure you catch that, whether you're going to watch it on YouTube or at the watch party. I don't think they've broke any news yet as far as location on the watch party. I haven't seen anything yet. But
I'm almost certain it's going to be back at Alamo Beer, but I don't have confirmation on that.
I don't either.
But I could almost 90%, because I know some of the conversations I've had with other connected people. I think it's going to be back at Alamo Beer.
Cool.
But look for that on social media. Be a part of that. Guns up. They're the best team in the National Arena League. They got to play Fayetteville. I expect it to be a close game, but I think they've got Kendrick Kings. They've got Long. They've got Rakeem Cato. That's three really good players. To me, the Gunslingers have more than three.
yes.
And so if you make your pick just based on that, I think it'll be a close game. I think it'll be a good game. I think San Antonio will win another close game, and they'll be 4-0, but they'll only be 4-0 by 7 points or whatever. And people will go, yeah, but it's not really 4-0.
All you need is one.
All you need is one. So when it comes to football, professional football, San Antonio has got it all locked down, whether it's on the 100-yard field or in the 50-yard fight, whether it's in Carolina or Albany or Seattle or DC or Arlington. They may be trying to claim a championship, but we know who the real football city is, because they're having the championship here.
That's
They
right.
didn't say, well, we'll have the championship in DC or
No.
Arlington. No. They said, we know where pro football championships belong. It's right there in San Antonio. This is the first one we're hosting. We're going to host another pro football championship in August for the NAL. How about we do that and bring that championship here to San Antonio? When it comes to football, the 210 has got something to say.
Bang, bang.
Thanks so much, everybody. RC, I hope we got you out of there quick enough. I think she's already gone.
Yeah, I think she
Okay.
dropped off. Oh, no, there she is.
Oh, there she is.
Bye,
RC.
RC. Thanks.
Bye.
We'll see you soon.
Thank you.
Jim's still here, so I'm going to put him back
Okay.
on while we chat. Yeah, he's right. Leo, you need to join that Discord.
The
It's
Discord chat. You have a link to it?
Yeah, let me grab it for you. Oh.
So, Jim, I'm really thinking that this conference call today, they're going to make some sort of decisions. Like, I think we're going to hear something in the morning about all of this.
That's the reason why we're not doing our show until Wednesday.
Smart move. Smart move.
My Jacksonville shorts. By the way, official. By the way, the transactions.
Oh, wait. I'm going to go ahead and end this